Hi everybody, welcome to Suburban Garage Workshop. This is episode number 1, so a little introduction here. My name is Kevin and I live just outside of Chicago, about 35-40 miles west of Chicago. And this is my workshop. So what you're looking at is part of my, I guess you call it 3.5 car garage. So this little portion is a 10 by 10 space, roughly, that is ahead of one of the bays. So the camera is currently sitting on a tripod, sitting on the roof or on the hood of one of my cars. But I'm gonna take a little different tack with some of these channels. I'm not a professional woodworker. I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm not a professional in any of those kind of trades. I'm just an average guy who tinkers in his workshop on the weekends. I've got, blessed with a decent garage. I've got a 3.5 car garage, as I said. We have one, and I'll turn the camera and give you a little tour here in a moment. We've got our daily driver, which is a SUV that parks in here. And I've got an old car, which I'll talk about later. That's what the camera's currently sitting on the hood of, is the old car. And this is my workshop. Mostly, as you see on this side, is all woodworking related things. I've got, tons of storage in here. You can't see over here, but I've got a bunch of toolboxes and stuff. And I'll give you, like I said, I'll show you more of the workshop here in a moment. So I do a little bit of everything. But I think I want to, do some neat projects coming up here soon. I've got a project where I'm going to build a ceiling mounted, dust filter to kind of filter the dust out of the air. I've got a shop vac with a dust stopper on it, and I've got, a Harbor Freight dust collector, and those do a decent job of collecting dust at the source, but they don't collect all the dust. There's a lot of dust that ends up in the air. And being in the Midwest right now, it's right now in the garage, it's a little over 45 degrees, so it's actually quite pleasant out here with a small space heater blowing kind of in the area where I'm working. But it gets cold, so I have to keep the door shut, and I have to keep the windows shut, or it's too cold out here to work. So dust is a problem, and I don't like breathing it up. So I'm going to build this little ceiling mounted dust filter. So that's one of the projects I'm working on. I'm going to talk about, you probably see in the back, is all of my French cleat walls. I'm going to talk about what French cleat walls are, how to build them, how to, the problems I've had building them. Not so much building the French cleat walls, but how to and how not to build the various fixtures that hold things. And we'll go from there. Lots of little projects I have in mind. I think these are all what I would call accessible projects that anyone can do at home. I don't have very expensive tools. I've acquired tools for many years. I've had tools that I've gotten from friends whose fathers had passed away who were in the trades, and they said, I have no use for my dad's old tools. Do you want them? Sure, I'll take them. And that's pretty much how I got all my mechanics tools. I had a friend who was an auto mechanic. His dad was an auto mechanic for years. He passed away. He had no interest in them. He had nowhere to store them, and he gave them to me. And I used all of those tools to restore the car that I'll talk about here in a little while. Most of my stuff is, you'll see the yellow in the back, all my, what I call rechargeable electric power tools, all Dewalt, not sponsored by anyone. I bought all this with my own money, and I've piecemealed these. In other words, I started with one tool and a battery, and then I bought in a second battery, and I bought a second charger. And then because now I've got a couple batteries and a couple chargers, now every time I need another power tool, I just buy another Dewalt because I've already got the batteries for it. And I think that's how most guys operate. I've got a ton of Harbor Freight tools. Why? Because when you need a cheap tool, Harbor Freight's where you go. They're not the best tools in the world, but they're great for the purpose they're made for. They're not trade tools. They're not tools you're going to go out and build a house with, but for the occasional use, they are just fine. So anyway, that's the purpose of this channel. It's to talk about how to do things from this perspective of the average suburban garage workshop. Hence the name of the channel. All right, so stay tuned. I'll walk through and give you a little tour, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everybody. So let's go ahead and start the tour. So what you see here is my little workshop area, and I talked about the French cleat walls, and I'll talk more about those on another video. I've got a little, dust collection set up. This is just a shop vac with a dust hopper bucket built into a little portable rack. It can plug into this white pipe that you see goes all the way around, and that allows me to have dust collection at all these smaller tools. I could run the big dust collector over there if I wanted to, but for the amount of dust these tools produce, the shop vac is fine, and it just works. And I don't have to have big hose come across. All of these workbenches, they all have locking casters at the bottom. I can unlock all of these, and I can roll all of this stuff out, which I'll show you more of the garage here in a minute. And I do, and I'm working on bigger projects. I've got everything's on casters, so these toolboxes roll out. I've got a file cabinet I keep various parts and things in for the old car. Everything's on French cleat, as I said, so which is nice because, if I wanted to take something or move something, I can pick something up and literally just peel it off the wall and move it wherever I want and put it right back on the wall. I've got, saw, drill press, smaller saw, sandblaster. This is all my hardware store. So this is off of Craigslist. I found these old metal tins that have these dividers in them, and these are great. And if you could find these cheap, jump all over them, buy them. They're indestructible, they're infinitely adjustable, and they hold a ton of stuff. I've got some bigger versions down here that I keep parts in. So I've got old auto parts and wiring and all kinds of stuff in here. This is my pretty much I guess you wouldn't say inherited, but I inherited it from a friend who inherited it from his father. I talked about this before. This is all my mechanics tools. But it's nice. I have all my tools in here. Everything's in there. And this is a hodgepodge. I painted this years ago. It's like, the main box is a Mac box, and then the side box over here is a Mac box, and there's a Snap-on box. I think the one in the middle here is, I think that's a Snap-on box too, and then a couple Craftsman. That actually came from a different family member who passed away. That was his machinist toolbox, and I painted that because they were all different colors, so I just painted them all black for consistency. So turning around, here's my old car. There is where the camera was sitting a second ago. And what kind of car is it? Well, some of you eagle-eye people probably have noticed the signage in here, but I'll give you a little hint. I'll talk more about the car in another episode, and we'll go over it, but I don't want to distract on this episode. But just to give you I'll give you a little hint. I'll give you just a little bit of color there. I'll give you that much. But I'll give you the history of this car. Like I said, this car was a complete restoration. I pulled it out of a junkyard in California, and it was in horrible shape. Horrible shape, horrible paint, all rust. And I spent 15 years of my life putting this car back together. I'll tell you more about it another time. Okay? So we're walking over here. So this is the 3-car garage. This is the single bay, double bay. So there's our daily driver. And this is the usual configuration of the garage when I'm out here, unless I'm doing big projects. And then the Telluride I roll out in the driveway, and then I've got that whole space. So that's why everything's on wheels, because I can roll all the big tools over here. This is my, like I said, it's an average workshop. Things aren't neat and put away. I've got bicycles in here, trash cans, snowblower, everything everyone normally has. This is my Dewalt Table Saw. Currently, for my last project, I haven't put anything away yet. Still has the extension cord rolled on top of it. This little table saw, I've run a lot of projects through it. It's not a saw stop. It's not some big cabinet saw. Eventually, I want to get a little contractor or cabinet saw, but for now, this is what I have, and it works great because I can fold it up, I can roll it away, and if we really needed to, we could get another car in here. So it's still pretty flexible. The only change I've made to this, obviously, much better blade. Move some of the junk out of the way. It's got a zero clearance insert plate, and I put on an adapter for the 4-inch dust collection, which makes a hell of a difference when over the standard shop vac dust collection. This is standard Harbor Freight dust collector. There are no modifications to this. This is as stock as you can get it. It's got and I haven't had this that long, maybe a month and a half, 2 months. Standard dust collector. I know it needs another bag. I need to put a pleated filter on the top. Thank you. Tongue tied there for a second. So I'll probably do that. I did add one of these Rockler, hose systems in it, which makes it good for moving things around. The only change I did here is I added a little piece of foam here to the top, just so the hose could roll over the top of it and not kind of dig into the hose. So scrolling back this way, there's the car. I've got some overhead storage. I'm going to move this. This overhead storage has worked okay here, but I just built laundry room cabinets, full-size floor-to-ceiling laundry room cabinets for my wife. And once I did that, I realized having this overhead storage here was a nightmare. One, because the cabinets are taller than this. And then what happens, so I had the cabinets over in that area, which worked great until someone opened the garage door. And then it was like dominoes with these large cabinets. So there was really nowhere in this garage where I could put those tall cabinets except for over my workshop area. And it was just a pain. So this whole thing is going to get moved. I'm more than likely going to pull that lumber rack off up there and move this shelf over there. And then this lumber rack, I think I'm going to build a lumber rack up over that dead space above the garage door. Just move it over there. So we're going to reconfigure it. Just this area over here is just, gardening tools. I've got storage rack for, chemicals and supplies. I've got a little welder. Like I said, I do a little bit of everything. So I've got a little bit of, enough skill to be dangerous in a lot of different ways. Master of all trades, jack of all trades, master of none kind of situation. But I did all the welding on my old car, and that's what I used. That's an Eastwood MiG 135, which, Eastwood doesn't make their own welders. They're made by Lincoln. Great welder. Used it for a ton of stuff. I've got a fridge out here, which is basically our soda fridge. So hence you see all the soda stored everywhere, because when it goes on sale, my wife buys it. And so I've got tons of soda out here. This is the other part of my French cleat wall that wraps around. This is my miter station. It's useful. This is probably the one tool. I've had this tool the longest. This is a Craftsman Professional tool. It's probably, 15 years old, 10 years old, somewhere like that. And I built this little miter station out of this. And I'll talk about how I built this on another video and how I improved the dust collection on it. And you can see here I've got kind of goes a 2-into-1, and this made a huge difference for dust collection. Okay. But that's it. That's the kind of the tour of the workshop. As I said before, I've got several videos I want to work on, but I figured this would be a good introduction, give you an idea of what space we're going to be working in, and I hope you guys will come back and look for the other videos that should be posted probably within the next week or so. Thanks, everybody. Bye.